I'll go down a lekker rabbit hole.
No, going down the rabbit hole for this one is ridiculous. Anyway, welcome, gentlemen. We are recording.
Hi.
Hi there. Hi, Lyndon. So, gents, today we are going to be talking about the Matrix. So, first of all, how many times did you watch the Matrix, Lyndon?
Good morning. The first time I didn't understand it.
How many times did you watch it?
The first time I thought it was a load of crap. Twice.
Okay. And the second time? What did you think?
The second time I understood it a bit more. I thought, okay, there is maybe something to this. It's not so crap anymore.
What was so crap about it?
The first time you just didn't understand what was going on. Like, you didn't understand. There's a lot of new terminology going on, new ideas of things. So, it was difficult for me to grasp the first time. Some people grasped it the first time. I don't know how they did it, but I like to think of myself as a smart guy.
So like once you sort of, after you watched it the second time, how much do you think you got, or what did you get actually?
I think I got about half of it.
And what was it?
I think I might third time, like 2015 or so. We had probably fully understood it now because, it wasn't only watching it was also reading about it and stuff like that.
So I mean, like what ideas did it bring up into your mind that you didn't understand at first? Like,
obviously, the concept of people not knowing what reality is was obviously the main thing. And
was that
was basically that's obviously the crux of the movie, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get hung up on the robots and the fighting and like Brynn over here.
There were things like you could learn something just by putting this thing on your head, and you can learn how to fly an aeroplane in like under a minute. There was obviously the blue pill and the red pill. There was Keanu Reeves being the one, and then the woman would fall in love with the one, etc. So it's cool in a way, I suppose.
So
I would never have thought of that in the real life situation. So I would never think that we are currently living in a matrix. And but you see now, your version of what the Matrix is and the movie The Matrix is totally different. But
it's just a representation
of concept.
It's an allegory. Yeah, a representation of reality. I find that this is the best kind of movie, or the best kind of art even. Do you know Salvador Dali? He's got these paintings. I mean, you should Google it now, really. Like, any kind of Salvador Dali painting is amazing.
It's like he took mushrooms and then decided to go draw.
Yeah, like basically.
They look amazing. They look wild.
Just Google any one of them. Can you guys see that?
Not yet. There we go.
Yeah, so this is a painting. He called this painting "Dream Caused by the Fly of a Bee Around a Pomegranate a Second Before Waking Up." So, like, have a look at that. That's obviously not real, right? It's a painting. But it could be a dream.
Well, there's an elephant with long legs in the background.
There's some weird stuff in dreams, no?
Yeah.
I actually saw this the other day. But I think what I was watching was on Dreams. It's called The Mind Explained. You see, this is why I say, Dave, you must watch Netflix.
Yeah. So this is exactly it. So like, your dream is never it's obviously not realistic in any way, but it's got real elements in it. And that's your subconscious basically trying to make a movie for you that you then have to now interpret, analyze, and understand the meaning of, like in relation to real stuff in your life. For example, if you are falling in a dream, like endlessly, that symbolizes that in your life you have a loss of control, right? Have you guys heard of that?
I heard of things
Yeah,
like
but how true is that? Doesn't mean you dream something. That, like a lot of people say that if you dream something, it means something. So if you dream about swimming, it means something. If you dream about the sky going flat, it means another thing.
Yeah, so like falling.
I don't believe that.
If you, but like think about this. If you are about to get a promotion or an interview or something like that, many people report having dreams about falling. And like, so many psychologists thought about why is this concept of falling in a dream so common? And what is it about these people that makes them have these dreams? So people interviewed them about what's going on in their life, and they found a trend. So people who dream about falling usually have a feeling of being out of control, of being out of control of something in their life, and they don't know, it's causing a lot of anxiety. So like COVID.
Yeah, so so dreaming is usually, in my opinion, tells us something about the past, not about the future.
Well, it tells you about something real, even though it is not real.
So like if you like watching scary movies, you're gonna have scary dreams. That's why I don't watch scary movies.
me neither.
Yeah. So like, okay, so that's one thing, and the connection is clear, isn't it? The dream world and your real world, the scariness, it's connected, right?
So your dreams are taking elements of what you are seeing and exposing yourself to.
Sorry, Lyndon, I didn't hear that. Lyndon, what did you say?
I didn't say anything. It was Brynn.
Oh, okay.
I said I didn't say anything now. It was Brynn. Yeah.
That's cool. I think maybe we have a delay. But yeah, so the thing about the dream world is that it's usually representative of something. So I think that the best movies are like this as well, a representation of something that's real in your life. I mean, a lot of movies are just for action, just for seeing some hot chick or something like that. And many paintings are just for you to get to buy them, of fruit or whatever, and those are garbage paintings in my opinion, or just basic level paintings, and there's basic level movies. But Matrix is something else. I mean, they made such a, I mean, the way I explain the Matrix to you, you'll understand that it is exactly representative of how the world works, with a few obvious like artistic liberties taken. But yeah, so like the concept that everybody could be living according to rules that are false, that they don't even know are false, and therefore are imprisoned by it. That's what made me go see that movie 7 times in the cinema. And then like every month after that until now, basically.
So why did you have to see it 7 times? Why wasn't 1 time enough, or 2 times?
For the experience, man. Like it's like the first time having chocolate ice cream, your first chocolate ice cream you ever have when you're 15. Are you really just gonna have one, or you're gonna keep going back for that? You want to learn it, because it's like the first time I watched it, I also like I knew it was cool. Like I like the hot chick and the clothing and the shades wearing indoors and whatnot, and the fighting, obviously. Visually, so this why that movie is like one of the best. It really should have had Oscar. Well, it did win like a special effects Oscar. Like, is that's how good the movie was. The special effects basically made everybody want to watch that will watch it the first time and think it's a cool movie, even though I have no idea what's going on. Everybody
Some of
gives
that, like the bullet time was actually apparently created for that movie specifically.
Yeah, that's
really quite innovative.
Yeah,
and it just shows what the Wachowskis had in mind, like what they were trying to do, and how someone can actually put that onto a screen.
Yeah, the guy invented.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and that's what he won the Oscar. I think that's. I'm not sure, but as far as not bet, it didn't win. It wasn't even nominated for Best Picture or anything like that because it was too cool. I guess like in the Oscars, if the movie's cool,
it's like an indie film, I suppose. So they needed a bit more.
No man,
but that's how the Academy works, you know. They don't.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't always pick the good ones, so.
Exactly. Anyway.
But Dave, would you agree that the movie contains a lot of, although speaking about being in the Matrix, it has a lot of unrealistic stuff as well?
Like what?
Like being able to learn something in a minute, or being able to kick somebody so hard that they break the wall on the other side of a room.
Yeah.
That's the artistic license.
Learning kung fu in like flipping 1 minute or so.
No, I hear you.
So even being in a different world is probably unrealistic. The way they put it out, the way they portray it in the movie, like
in an actual computer.
Yes.
Yeah. So the literal elements are not the way they are, but just because like that elephant had long legs doesn't mean it had no meaning anymore. You know, like those extra things, as I said, they were just to make people who don't want to think too much enjoy the movie. They want to see a guy flying hard through a window and like, oh, learning something in 1 second. Yeah, that's cool. Everything is cool. So, doesn't have to be, not everything is going to be accurate if your main goal is to make people think that you are cool. So then what was the other thing? Like one thing that's strange, when what do you think about the fact that anybody who is in the Matrix but not aware of it can become an agent, get their body taken over and they become an agent? What did you think of that? Did you think that was a realistic or unrealistic thing that happens?
You're talking about on a conceptual
the way they
level.
portray it in the movie is unrealistic.
So let me give you an analogy that is basically what this phenomenon in the Matrix is telling you. So when I tell people that something that they believe in deeply, strongly, is not true based on logic, instead of them thinking, oh, that's you've got a good point there, and really trying to get what I'm thinking into their heads, rather than doing that, they immediately shut down and say, no, you can't say that. Like, who are you? This is the system. Everybody has believed this for thousands of years and still believes it today. So who are you, and what system are you going to create that's better? That kind of a thing. You know, like if you question, if you're an American and you question capitalism, you know, like that's like people become an agent in America, like normal people who would actually benefit from a socialist way society have such a strong belief in this concept that they don't really even understand, because very few people study economics and what capitalism really means. What is the driving force behind it? i.e., rich people get to have a say in whatever happens in your society, including you and your schools or whatever. This is a stupid system that a society shouldn't work on. But if you tell people that rule, then they're like, no, it's been like this forever, and that's what made us so great. And like I can tell you also the wars that those rich people threw you in and killed you by the millions of, that was not for your best interest. That was so that their oil companies could make billions or something. Not for you, for them. And that's why you get to kill people, which is bad for society. Like, people don't take on this message and genuinely, yes, war is bad. Greedy rich people don't have everybody else's best interest at heart. Like, instead of trying to think that, they just automatically switch to agent. Defend the status quo. That's like the name I give to these people. I call them agents, or just self-appointed defenders of the status quo. So
okay, so I just have a question. So if capitalism is not that great, why is every country in the world following that sort of method of governance? Even China, that used to be, you know, what's the other one again?
Communism, yeah.
Or switching to capitalism.
Yes.
In Germany.
Right.
So why is that? Why is it working all over the world? And why are we voting these people back into power every time?
That's a good question.
That's what I'm saying, Lyndon. That's what I'm saying. Do you know that for thousands of years, people believed in polytheistic religions, where there's one god for lightning, one god for the sun, one god for this and that and the next thing? You know, people did that.
Yeah.
For thousands of years, right? So there's capitalism. Everybody was doing capitalism. How could it be wrong? Everybody was doing polytheism. How could that be wrong? Nobody believes that that system is correct today, right? So this is a
difference. There is the one is believing in some superhuman powers, where the other one is a realistic functioning society or government, so to say.
So is
not comparing apples with apples.
Well, what is capitalism actually? Is it something that's real, or is it something that was made up by people?
Both.
How so? What is natural?
Both, because capitalism, the idea of capitalism means that you work. If you work for what you want and you get it, it's yours. Okay, but by the nature of how people are,
I don't think that's capitalism. Right? That's not capitalism.
So what is capitalism?
It is the idea. So capitalists, you know what capital means?
Yeah. What money-wise?
Not really. It actually means the means of production. So if you have the machines and all the people for you, working for you, you are a capitalist. So not necessarily money, but in today's parlance, yeah, that's basically what it means.
Yeah.
So capitalism is saying, it's an ideology that says the capitalists are the ones in charge. That's it. And they set up the rules. The thing that you have in your mind is a nice ideal, but it's not what the economy is based on, right? It's just a simple idea of that. And this is another thing. Like, you're being the perfect agent right now. I'm questioning the system. I'm telling you it's a matrix. It is a matrix.
Okay. This is the definition of capitalism. An economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than the state.
Right. So rich people.
Private owners.
So
running, they get
that to me means that basically, yeah, you're working for your own shit, basically. Sorry. Everybody, doesn't matter how hard you work in mental differences between capitalism and communism. There's obviously socialism as well, but we're not going to get into that now, I suppose.
This is a very typical kind of conversation where I'm talking to somebody about a concept that they don't really have a very strong grasp of, but they have an extremely strong opinion of, because they've based their entire worldview on this thing, which is completely made up. Capitalism is a made up thing. And just because people are doing it now doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. Because many times in history, history has shown us again and again and again that the majority can be wrong, completely wrong. because they don't question the rules of the matrix. They don't question what is the society built on. What are the actual things that are making people think this way or act this way? People are believing that it was our nature to be under a king. You know, like kings were, you know, they were born really, and there's only one guy in the country that for your whole life says what goes, and everything he says is perfect, and you don't have the right to fight back. And like if he says go by the millions and go kill other people who have no qualms against you because I want their property, then you have to go. And everybody thought that's a good idea, right? For thousands of years. Why don't we do it today, Lyndon? Like, is that wrong? Is it wrong?
We do. The Americans go and fight the Arabs for the oil all the time.
And that's capitalist.
It is guise of other things like whatever the case may be. So that is something in today's society. People, the soldiers, they have to take, if the guy on top says you must do this, we have no choice but to do it.
Is that a good
What's happening today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we should be doing that?
Well, he's doing it by choice.
Yeah, he is. Is he making good choices? Do people always make good choices? And are there choices?
I think those people have been indoctrinated. Like, I mean, I'm not particularly patriotic. I like living in my country and all that type of thing. But the amount of patriotism that you see, especially with soldiers and so on, it's admirable. But somehow they've been conditioned to think that way. So that's why if they say, I want to serve my country, like serve my country, they feel that putting their lives on the line for whatever the cause or the reason is, they don't feel it's any real sacrifice at all, or at least that they think it's the highest sacrifice. And they really just willing to go and do that without question. So I think it takes years and years of indoctrination, or you have a very, very charismatic leader, or so-called leader, boss, telling you, well, this is what you're going to do, and this is the perfect way to get what we want because it's for the good of everybody.
Right. So yeah, everybody goes in, and they might have even a very nice slogan saying, like, come and kill for your country, which is it's another beautiful sort of like weird thing, like your country.
Yeah.
Your country.
I think at the end of the day, it's about what you subscribe to. So if you subscribe to a certain thing, so you will accept all the rules that's governing that thing. So I'll give you an example, like if you play for a hockey club, like I play for a hockey club, right? So if I play for Central Hockey Club, which is the club I play for, right? I have to, by joining that club, I have to subscribe to the rules and regulations governing that club. And that club is not only governed by their own rules and regulations, they're governed by the Western Province Hockey Union's rules and regulations as well. And the Western Province Hockey Union is governed by the African Hockey Association. So if the African Hockey Association say here's a rule, right? Western Province Hockey Union have to follow that rule, and then Central Hockey Club has to follow that rule, and then I have to follow that rule because I subscribe to that. But I have a choice. I can choose to not subscribe to it. I can choose to not join a hockey club. The same with biking and anything else, other sports, or even being part of the military. I can choose to subscribe to that, or I can choose to not. At least they give me that choice, don't they? I know before you didn't have a choice, but today you, and that was obviously, I would say that would be a bad thing, because if you don't have a choice to decide, I don't want to go fight this war, I think it's pointless. But today you have a choice, you can choose not to subscribe to that. Obviously, being born in South Africa, you have no choice but to subscribe to the laws of the country. Or if you stay in that country even, You have to subscribe to the laws of the country. So
Mm.
there are choices, and if you don't like the laws of your country, you can choose to go to another country.
Mm.
You could also choose to go and live in the woods where nobody knows you exist. So you have choices. You don't have to follow the law of the country if you don't want to.
But the
No.
law, I think, is a different thing altogether. It's well, a lot of the law, most of the law, I think the foundations of law is that it's a set of rules for society as a whole to follow. So it doesn't have to be specific to any one country. You know what I'm saying? So don't go kill Lyndon is quite a good rule to have overall for the whole world, because why should I kill another person? But
Yeah, but
if I want to join a hockey club and I don't like that they don't allow a specific kind of hockey stick, they want me to only buy a certain brand, and I can't afford that brand. I like hockey, I can play it, and I'm really good. But because their rule says you need this brand of stick, and I can't have that or don't want that, I have to now forego all the other benefits, and all the enjoyment and all that type of thing that comes along with joining a club, just because of that one rule. So I understand the point there. You do have a choice. Like, I can go to another club, but what happens if all the clubs have that similar rule?
well, you could also choose to not join a club and play on your own or form your own hockey league.
Let me make
There's an option.
Let me make it a little bit more.
That's what Dave's doing. It sounds like.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what Dave's doing. Yeah.
Let's say this should be a familiar example. It's also dreamlike. It's allegorical, but you're going to see there's quite a strong similarity to a real event that happened. What if the South African Hockey Association said one day, all brown players who want to play hockey must accept having one part of their body broken at the end of each game or at the start of each game, just because we don't want you playing on the same level as the white players. And that's the rule. You can't argue with it. Now, colored and black people can play that game, and that's what the law of their country in their hockey club said. Now, they can still choose to play that game that way as well. Should they? Or would it be for them to do that? Shouldn't they?
Well, if they were to make a rule or law like that, then I wouldn't play for that. I wouldn't play hockey, or I would create my own hockey league.
Yeah, but that's illegal in this country.
What's illegal?
To create another hockey league in this country.
It's not illegal.
No, that's another rule that the South African Hockey League made.
Well, then in that case, I just won't play hockey, because it's absurd that you would break a limb. Then what's the point?
Why wouldn't you just have them change that rule and create your own hockey league and just say, fuck your system?
You just said I can't create our own hockey league, so that's out of the question. But I could try and change the rule.
Why is it out of the question, actually? Let's go down this rabbit hole.
Because you've made the rule now. You said, okay, one of the rules is that you can't create a new hockey league.
Because this happened in our country, eh? Like, not in the hockey league. Have you heard of apartheid? Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yo, that was a long delay. So that was the law of this country, right?
Correct.
Did we all leave? And should we have? Was that the right thing to do?
Well, we tried to change it and we succeeded.
Then why didn't? So if we were living by your rules, Lyndon, we wouldn't have tried to change it. We wouldn't have risen up and fought against this stupid matrix rule, because it's made up. And why should we? Just because it's...
Yeah, I did say that we can. One of the options was to try to change it.
Isn't it the option to...
So like you gave the hockey example. You gave the hockey example of breaking a limb, so I said, yes, I'd either choose to not play hockey, or I'll try to change it if possible.
Right. So changing the system is what should happen, isn't it? Not just obey.
If it's a bad system, yes.
So this is what I'm saying.
Like apartheid is something that needed to be changed.
Yes, just like monarchy, just like capitalism, just like the law of going to kill somebody in your army because we say you must. You don't have an option anymore. You're not a model human being. Why would any person join a military that doesn't respect them as an individual? People choose to do this every day because they buy into stupid thoughts that don't work out for their best interest, and they don't question the system. And they get themselves and their children and their societies locked in a system, in a matrix that they will never be able to control or succeed in, because the rules are written not for them to succeed, but for a certain capitalist, for example, to succeed. If you put one group in charge, they will look after their interests. It's just like a basic thing that you need to think about in the design of your society, in the design of your life. What are you following where you do not have any power? And should you be living in that life? Or should you actually say, nah, I should go work for myself, or I should do something else, or get my friends to arrange some competitive force to go against this ridiculous rule system so that we can show what the next version should be like, because that's what happens, right? We are living in democracy now, not monarchy. Are we living in democracy?
Yeah, so yes, I agree with you fully that, like our country, just take our country for example, South Africa. So South Africa creates rules that you have to follow. You don't really have a choice, but you can try to change it if possible, if you have enough people that can back you. What was the point now? It was about, yes, so laws, like, let's take the lockdown regulations, for example. So there's a lot of rules that I don't agree with. I actually don't think there should have been maybe a hard lockdown at first, but definitely not this lockdown now. Okay, so that is a rule that I don't agree with, but I'm forced to follow. The ban on cigarettes, the ban on alcohol, all these things. Yes, I don't agree with it, but yeah, I have to follow it just for the simple reason that I live in the country. Otherwise, I can choose to not follow it, but then what is the consequence of that? I could end up in jail. Okay, so yeah, so they are imprisoning people in that way, so to say. But in general, I mean, we're free to kind of do what we want in general. But the lockdown regulations have made you kind of feel like, oh, you're now a child, or you're subordinate or something like that.
Yeah.
And
So
what about this? You're not allowed to move around and things like this, Is it good? Is it bad?
Now, here's my thing. You should be able to know the difference between good and bad, but people do not ask themselves this question anymore. So the rules of lockdown, good or bad? Mostly good, some bad, right? The rules of apartheid, mostly evil. The rule of monarchy, the concept of monarchy, mostly stupid, but people will follow them, right? Because they are the law. That is the system. That is the matrix you are born into. Without question.
Yep.
Why can't now, what if your matrix is bad? Why don't you fight against that? You are capable of determining what's good or bad, right? As am I. Every single individual on this planet should know the difference between right and wrong. How can people follow systems of wrong for thousands of years, today included? It's because they don't actually ask themselves, is the law in any way related to what's right or wrong? Is my system related to what's best or not? Just, it's the system. Obey. Nah. That's how you're supposed to live your life, right?
Yeah.
And is there any downside to that?
Yeah.
Is there any downside?
So what are you proposing?
Well, I just want to understand if you get what I'm saying. Like, do you get that your way of thinking is wrong? It's bad.
Brynn, what do you think?
It's against your own interest to do that.
I'm just thinking that there's a lot I don't agree with. Like, let's use lockdown regulations, for example. There's tons of it I don't agree with. I fully understand the intention behind it at first, because I also panicked, you know, thinking, oh my word, this invisible thing is here. We don't know where it is and how it works and stuff, and how it mutates. So yes, it's cool. I'm going to stay at home. I don't mind that, because my thinking is this action is going to keep everybody safer. And why can't everybody see that? But then after a while, you sort of get a bit disillusioned. And I think to myself, this is just frustrating now. I can train better at 10 o'clock. You know, oh wait, I can't go to my gym because they decided to close because they don't treat people like adults, and don't feel they can clean up after themselves or keep themselves healthy. So yes, we'll close gyms. We don't trust people to look after themselves, so they can't buy toys or open-toed shoes. I mean, that kind of thing is just ridiculous. But then also on the other hand, how would some normal Joe on the street, would like me, how am I going to challenge that? Where's the switch for me to go and look for? You know what I'm saying? Even if I find this switch and I find this path that I can take to go and change this rule, what's going to happen to my day to day? So daily, I need to do certain things in order to survive. You know, I need to go and get hunt and gather, so to speak. So now, it's like the hunting and gathering is going to be put aside while I try to fix this law to make the hunting and gathering better. But it feels like something's going to suffer for me to actually get to that greater good point. So it's such a nuanced thing that it's difficult to, while you might not agree, it's difficult to consider how one might firstly voice it and secondly change it.
Yeah, so I think like okay, the way you're looking at or tackling the problem seems like you're focusing on leadership, and like in terms of in the real world scenario, it seems like the leaders that you choose should be the ones that are capable of fixing A and B with minimal downsides. So you shouldn't.
They should also be recognizing. They should also be the ones to see. That is why I think most leaders, especially in the government sphere, should be staying among the people, and not constantly be surrounded by bodyguards. They should feel safe among the people. I mean, the people would have voted for them. It makes sense to me to feel safe among the people. That way you get a feel for what the problems are.
And now you're going.
And you have the means to fix it. So how would I do that? I mean, I don't even know who the ward councillor or whatever is here. I should find out. I will, but it's going to take it takes time away from the daily stuff.
So you shouldn't have to do that. In a democracy, you should have the ability to choose from a range of people who are highly competent and are going to almost never give you a bad or do something stupid, right? That's the point of leadership. That's the idea we have when we vote for somebody. This guy is the best and the brightest in my country, and he's going to solve
a vision.
For me. Yeah, exactly. That's the way it should be. But in our democracy, it isn't, because of the way our system is set up. It's we vote for the party and they choose the leader, so we don't get to say who that is. And we don't vote based on merit yet. We still vote based on color predominantly and tradition. So when the leaders that we get make the bad rules that they do during COVID-19, we can see, oh, okay, these guys are not the best. So that should inform our decision for the next time, hopefully. But that's the problem of democracy. The problem of democracy is that people need to know what's right, not just follow the system. And that is what people do, right? I mean, it's like just the idea that your behavior is limited by this country. Like if you are born in a certain country, you have got to follow certain rules, even if they are wrong. Like that is an absurd notion. Why do we like the idea of a country, even that you can put lines on a map and say, this is mine now. This is what my people own. And
you stay on your side.
Yeah, you stay on your side. That's not how we even used to live, brown people. You know, we were nomads. We hunter-gatherers, as you said. If you live in a hunter-gatherer society, there's no such concept as land ownership, because it's no person was born today on a piece of land that has existed for millions of years can claim to own that land now, from now until forever, because he had signed something on a piece of paper that, and he showed all the other animals like us that he did that. Like, that doesn't make that land his. Just like no mountain goat can claim a mountain for himself just because he lived there all his life and his generations and blah, blah, blah. Why do we think that we can do that? It's really...
But I can bet you what's going to happen. That mountain goat, if he sees another mountain goat there, he's going to chase him away and fight him away, so that he can make sure that what he considers his area remains his.
Have you seen
even animals do it?
And dogs.
Animals are territorial. There's no government in animals and stuff. Although we cage up animals and things like that, but in the wild, a baboon will fight another baboon over pussy, for example, or even for territory and stuff like that.
Is this
so that's in the animal kingdom.
Is this the behavior we want in a civilized society, or do we have to copy them? Or can we use our consciousnesses? And
just think about it logically. Is it really government that has implemented these laws, or is it not only human nature but animal nature, instinct that is bringing it about? Because we do it because governments say so, but animals do it without any laws in place. Lions do it. Every animal will fight for territory.
Now here we've got basically the crux of why we designed the Matrix. So human life is dualistic. There is our natural animal side, and then there's our civilized, sophisticated, logical, rational side. We have this more than any other animal. That's why we create society. Well, that's how we are capable of creating society. So we don't want to live just in the natural world. We want to live in a world which is even better for us than the natural world. So we design society and we make up these rules that we're basically trying to accentuate the positives and eliminate the negatives of nature. In nature, you can eat and have sex and do all those great things, but something's also trying to kill you at every turn. And, you know, there's no medicine or whatever. But we can, through method and logical thinking, communication, coordination, we can design a society where we can still get to eat and have sex whenever we want, more regularly than when we were living in the jungle, and way less things are killing us. But in the society, there's a new set of rules where we don't act like lions, where you just go and fight somebody physically, violently for pussy. That would be, what kind of person does that? A high-level person? No, an animalistic sort of person. We condemn that behavior because that's from the jungle and not compatible with life in a society where people are supposed to be viewed as equal.
Humans do that too.
What?
Humans do that too. Humans also fight for pussy.
Yeah, and I said there are lower level classes of people that do that, right? Right?
Well, do you have... Yeah, look, I had to fight for my pussy.
So
I had to move another guy so that I can marry my wife.
So I would question the logic of that. If your wife loved you, why should you have to violently assault another human being? Why should you even have to risk damage if Natasha loved you?
Long story, but I have a wife that loves me now.
I
Yeah,
have,
for 15 years.
But I'm saying back then, she was stupid. She should have first time taken you on, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, she did. It's just that it was a complicated matter.
Maybe not though.
But yeah,
oh, so you were actually fighting for her honor, not to win her, because that's a different thing.
I don't know. So no, this violence is not violence. Violence is one of those things we are supposed to put aside and left in the natural world. We are not supposed to be violent in society. There's no way to solve a problem by initiating violence. Do you guys get this yet? This has been like thousands and thousands of years being ignored.
okay.
Sure,
So
but
what if somebody wants to? What if somebody walks into your house, right, and takes your PC, empties out your fridge?
I said initiate.
Are you going to stand around and watch it happen?
Hold on. I said nobody solves a problem by initiating violence. All right. So the guy that started the cuck that needs you to resort to violence, to respond with violence, that in that case, your use of violence is justified. Like it's also possibly.
Oh, so it's good sometimes and it's not good other times.
No, it's not.
When it's initiated, it's
defensively, it is okay. Aggressively, it is not okay. Do you get that? Like, it's okay for a country to have a war.
Okay, so it's okay to be violent. That's what I'm getting.
It's okay to be violent if you must conditionalize everything. You cannot say it's always right or it's always wrong. That's not how life is, my friend. We have got to create algorithms which create conditions where you say, if this happens, then you do that. Not just fucking do whatever you think at any minute. That's
okay, so that laptop that you own now, right? You were born into this world without it, so it doesn't actually belong to you.
Yeah.
So same like you're saying that if you're born onto a piece of land, yes, your parents might have owned it or whatever, but it doesn't actually belong to you.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting the connection.
The connection is that you're saying that a piece of property, like land, doesn't necessarily belong to you. So I can say the same thing with a piece of property like a laptop. So you should be able to allow anybody else to share your laptop.
Are we talking about violence like we were talking about that and then you switched to this topic all of a sudden?
Yes, it's got to do with violence, because if somebody comes into your house and he tells you, I'm going to use your laptop now, you know, he's not asking you, he's telling you.
Yeah.
So you're going to accept that.
No, he's the aggressor in that situation, right?
Okay, so then it's okay to be violent.
So
if he initiates a violent action, then yeah.
Yes, you put down.
He's not being violent. He's just walking into your house and he tells you, he's not hitting you to do it. He's telling you, I'm going to use your laptop now.
And I will tell him no.
And he's disrespecting.
It's my laptop.
Or he's going to walk into your house, right? Wait, he walks into your house and he tells you, I'm going to have sex with your wife now. He's not being violent. He's not hitting you, or he's just telling you he's going to do that now.
And you say,
so are you going to
leave my house and leave my key? Give me my key back.
Yes, leave my house and leave my key.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hit the guy.
By that reasoning, he should leave you alone and not come back, because that's not what you want.
So, I don't understand.
So now there's extra. No, well, you have to, because he's telling you what his intentions are.
If your wife,
so you're gonna say,
if you chose the right wife, why is she gonna make love to him? Why aren't you just both gonna sit at that door and say, get the fuck out of our property?
She didn't come into the picture yet, you see. He's just coming in.
But let's flesh it out. Like, it's an absurd situation, actually. I don't get, like, in a case where you walk through your problem.
Let's stick to land then, because speaking about marriage, and obviously that is a different thing. Let's speak about property, like your laptop or your house or your car or any sort of inanimate object, so to say. Like, if somebody want to come and claim rights over your thing, are you going to allow it?
No, of course not.
You'll set up
okay, so what are you going to do?
You set up laws and shit so that when this happens, when there is an element in your society that aggressively takes something that belongs to another person, then you have police that come and sort out that situation.
Okay, so now you need the government.
Yes, of course, we need a matrix, my friend. We need a system. We need society. We don't have to.
Why can't I just moor him?
That's a big
End of story.
Because then you're the aggressor.
You don't just obey all the laws.
But don't you think he deserves it?
What?
Don't you think he deserves to be moored?
Yeah, well, let the system to handle it. Like, if you set up your society based on rules that make sense and are right, then there's nothing to worry about.
So I should rather, instead of mooring the guy, I should take all the time to phone the police and wait for them to, they take like 2 hours to arrive at your house.
No,
At least you just tell him. You can just tell him, no, you're not using my laptop. Please leave.
Listen,
if he's a reasonable oak who came to you in a reasonable capacity to say, I'm going to use your laptop, and then you say no, that same reasoning he had should be like, okay, this guy doesn't want me to use his laptop, I'm going to go next door. It makes sense that he should subscribe to that also.
But yeah, also in your situation that you've constructed, your society is shit, right? Like, if it takes 2 hours for the police to arrive at your door from their station up the road, that means your society has not been set up correctly. In that case, yeah, then you're going to have to resort to a lot of animal behavior because you don't have a fully functioning society yet. But don't uplift that animal behavior that you have to resort to and say, you see, this is the right way to do things because I had to do it that way. There's a difference there, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but I just find that mooring the guy works better.
Right.
Feels better, I suppose.
So think about this, actually, because now this guy has his feelings hurt, doesn't he want to come back and moor you? When does mooring somebody solve a problem?
I don't give a damn about his feelings. He wants to use my stuff without even...
Like gangsterism, right? Gangsterism starts like this, and then it ends up obliterating our culture. The people on your street, your friends that you go to high school.
But with gangsterism, your intention is to be evil to begin with, which is different.
No,
so,
I'm not sure that's the case, actually.
It's not, my bro. Like that, how gangsterism started it's just socioeconomics, right? If you live in a shit situation where there's no opportunities to like enlighten yourself or your people and go to facilities and where you can relax and whatnot, you're gonna be in a situation where the only way to have fun is just to take other people's cuck, right? And then the way to resolve that is by violence, apparently. Or you could talk about it and come to some sort of arrangement or some compromise where you both work together, add your efforts to one another so that at the end you can get more resources to work together. So like that society is obviously the one way that you want, where people have the ability to grow together, not the society where they're locked in some shitty situation, because gangsterism starts and then there's this vicious cycle where people think it's evil. Evil doesn't exist, Lyndon. It's a concept. There's no devil. There's nobody telling anybody, be the evil piece of shit. There are people born with bad consciences or like low EQs, sociopathic tendencies, and there are people who follow them because they don't know what's right and what's wrong, and then people that are born after this into that system just see that it's already there and they believe, oh, this must be human nature. But it's not human nature at all. It's the logic of this system in society, which is taken from nature. Maybe we even apply some rules like nature, like we see in the lion kingdom. There's one top lion. So let's make it the same way in our government system. Let's make one man a king, and his children are forever going to be our rulers, because we work just like the lions. We are exactly the same thing. It's all about power, which isn't. Physical power. Like, yeah, they think that the way the lion lives is the way human society should live. but we are not animals. So why should we do this? We shouldn't do this. When you play out that logic, then you see that the society gets fucked because we are not that kind of animal. So you can't apply that rule to us. You've got to think very carefully about what we are, what is right and what is wrong, what is just beneficial, what's not, what's logical, not what do you see around you and want to keep moving forward because who knows? It's just that's it. That's the way it is. Nobody can explain why it is the way it is, so they shouldn't condone it. But this is what an agent does, and so no matter who I speak to, the response is basically a carbon copy of this conversation. Everybody saying, "How can everybody be doing wrong?" Everybody is doing wrong. I can tell you. Let me tell you. Yeah, like
you guys remember that story, the lottery?
No, I want to tell you a better story than that. The story of Socrates. You know, you guys know Socrates, or the
philosopher,
the one who came up with the line, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Have you heard this? And that line is so perfectly like backed up by the story of what happened to him. So this guy was like basically the first philosopher in Greek, in ancient Greece, or in the Western world, basically. And he questioned, besides coming up with this line, he questioned the gods of Greece. Like he said, "Nah, there's no Zeus," and we all know there's no Zeus. But at that time, everybody believed in Zeus and Hera and all the polytheistic religions that I was talking about earlier. They totally believed in it. Also, he kept telling the young people to ask questions. So he developed something called the Socratic method, where he would go up to leaders in his society and he'd ask them, "So what do you think justice is, for example? Like what is right? What do you think right means?" And then based on the fact that Athens at that time was actually, they had slaves, it was clear they basically had an apartheid system, right? You can't believe in equal rights for all humans if you have slaves in your society. And he figured this out, and he was like, "I like democracy because I don't get ruled by a king, but surely we can do better than what we're doing now." And then he would go around saying, "What's justice?" And these people would say, they would basically just demonstrate that they have no idea what justice really should be based on. Like capitalism, for example, what is this really about? They don't actually know, but everybody has very strong opinions about what it should be. And then so after these rich people got a bit tired of being embarrassed and having, their feet put to the flames, they put him on trial. And a democratic jury, like Athens was democratic at that time, that the whole society, whoever was on the jury, voted to kill Socrates because he was guilty of A, challenging the gods of the state, and B, corrupting the youth. That was the two charges. And so the death penalty was he had to drink hemlock, drink poison. And a lot of people know that he had to drink poison, but they don't know why. They don't know that it was because he was questioning the religion and basically the matrix of his society. Right. And today we know objectively that Socrates was right about whether they are Zeus and all the rest of it. And we know that the whole society was completely wrong, right? Or whoever condoned that was completely wrong. But it was democratic, right? So democracy is not always the solution. The solution is having everybody think about what's right and wrong. Because if you don't examine what your life is about, what the life of everybody in your society is about, you are going to live a life not worth living. And think about that. Your life is actually, it would be better if you hadn't lived, because you are just continuing the system that devastates the livelihoods of your kids and your friends and your family, because you don't realize that you are living in shit, and where really you all have the ability to correct your societies, as long as the only thing that stops you from doing so is that you don't even think about it. You don't even know that you can do this. You're supposed to do this. Like, you're supposed to think about what you do in your life. What rules are you following? Are you happy? Even like basic things like
So that's like what gets managed, what gets measured, gets managed. That type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as a process is concerned, it's a similar story.
Dude, so that's measuring, like, why do you say what you're saying? Like, bring out all your points. Yeah, why do you
what
say
are the metrics?
exactly, man? That's the whole thing. Why do you say what you say based on this, that, and the next thing? The algorithm, the lines, because of this situation, I believe this, and then this, and this. Not just it was that way, so take it up with that guy. I don't question me. I'm just an amoral tool, a mindless fucking thing that just carries out the orders of people who are not necessarily even more moral than me. I'm just going to continue it because that's how it is. I was born here, therefore I must live my life this way forever. Not just me, but everybody. And we
like Ron Burgundy would say, "When in Rome."
When in Rome, do as the Italians do. Yeah, man. So this is the thing. This is the matrix. We didn't even get to start designing the layout of it, but anyway. But,
I think it's very important, because just like your last thing was the examined life or the measured process.
Yes.
It's good to understand what it is that you're measuring these things against. So when you're talking about capitalism as a matrix, for instance, it's good to understand what exactly you mean by this is made up. Why do you think this is made up? So I think it's okay that you didn't get to designing the new thing, but to define what it is important as well.
Hey, here come the teacher.
I see. We must get him a stylus and a graphics pad, and then he can draw on screen like William Smith.
Actually, no, we have them on Zoom. I'll do it for you. Can you see that? Can you?
Nah.
Okay,
We can't see it. You don't have to rub it off. We couldn't see it anyway.
There's a reason why. Anyway, so yeah, is it made up? This is the basic thing that we were going to talk about today. There are 5 things that are clearly made up, which completely control our lives, which we don't have to obey because they're not natural, and we should be constantly measuring what are the metrics, like how much good is being produced and how much bad is being produced by them, and then just continually improve the design, as we find out, okay, it solves the problems of the previous system and a little bit more, but there are still these extra problems. So how can we do an even better system? That's how you are always supposed to be improving yourself. You know, Lyndon, as an athlete, Brynn, same as you, martial artist, you have, whenever you want to, you're never going to be perfect. So, and the
you want constant evolution.
Exactly. The minute you say
you never want to stagnate.
Yeah, the minute you say this is my limit, this is where this is just the way I am, then that's where you stop yourself. And you,
like, imagine Lyndon was driving a 400cc. He wouldn't consider himself a biker anymore, you know. So don't worry. We were just saying it looks like you covered just about everything, because Lyndon was saying it. He'd like to see how your version of capitalism is going to be better.
No, not capitalism. So social. But you call it social capitalism, maybe.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So
your version of Davism.
Because we were thinking that is there certain parts of it that you want to change and keep the rest and just rename it, or is it like a complete overhaul and where those things are? So it seems like you covered most of of what you set out to cover.
Cool. Cool.
It's just a matter of us having to
Touched on it.
get some newbies.
And also I also want to go into the details of what are the 5 matrices that make up society, how are they related to each other, and we can compare different societies. So like modern Western society and old Western society, if you look at their matrices, their 5 bubbles, it's going to be like version 1.0 here and version 2.0 here. Monarchy at the top of this one, democracy at the top of this one. And then there's a whole bunch of things that flow from just that one difference. That one difference created a huge difference in the way that we can live. For example, so monarchy falls under autocracy. Autocracy is like dictatorship, despotism, like basically the people ruling you, you have no ability to tell them anything. They say what goes. They're autocrats. And in democrats, demos means people. So the people, the population decides or has a say in the way that the society is designed. So these 2 models, like what do they tell us? Like this one came first. Why? Well, it's actually just practical, like when there's no rules or there is no society, just the most competent people are going to be the ones that come out on top. That just makes sense, right? So if you always just
maybe the one is better for little people and the other one is better for a lot of people.
Well, one is better when you have just animals. Actually, it's better to have one clever person controlling all the animals, right? But then, but that person is supposed to raise all these animals up to be to his level. And what didn't happen under autocracy was that, because people realized, oh, actually, the only way I can stay so high above people is for them to push me up. So I must take whatever they create, and then there will always be this bridgeable gap between me and them. I will always have power over them. That's the way to be a king. That's what
human nature is taken over.
Not human nature, the greed that can exist when you have a society that's not functioning normally anymore. What has happened in the society is that everybody's decided, we're not even going to look at that guy. We are not going to treat him like a normal human being, like we would treat a normal human being. We're going to say that everything he says is right. A normal, natural society of human beings would never do that. You would always be questioned about whatever you say. And that's why democracy eventually became a thing, because eventually, okay, so monarchy was better than nothing. That's true. That's why people lived under that system. Less shit was eating them when there was a king around. But then after thousands and thousands of like stake burnings and like wars and just like obvious examples of where the king is not a good guy, after just thousands of generations of people finally got it. I mean, most of them couldn't get it because there was no history. There was no education like we've been able to enjoy in the last 100 years, which is a very new thing. No time in history has nationalized education been a thing, because monarchs wouldn't install a national education thing. But now that we have education, we can become informed, educated voters, but we can't be living like these fucking idiots who were animals, who didn't know better, and so they just go for the guy, the big man, one of the biggest muscles, because apparently a lot of people think our musculature is our main feature. Like that's why violence proves something, when actually like in the jungle, we are not the strongest anything. We are the most intelligent something. And we are the most communicative, most social. So we can transfer information and coordinate in real time. Like we have the internet basically installed in us. That's why we are supreme over all the other animals. Not because we are stronger. It's just our intelligence. But there are other animals as intelligent as us, but they can't coordinate and communicate. They don't have hands like these that can manipulate things and live in dry air and whatnot. They don't have the ability to do what we can do. We have the same abilities as theirs naturally, but we have more like environmental
Conceptualized.
Well, no, literally our environment is different from dolphins, for example. Dolphins don't have things that they can keep.
Opposable thumbs.
Yeah, they don't have opposable thumbs, exactly. And they can't build a house somewhere and call their friends there and develop their ideas over time. People just go everywhere. So they're the same kind of animal as us. But due to the way their society, the options they have for building a society, they cannot. Right? So we have this. We need to see what the truth is like by constantly just becoming more educated, using that intelligence, using our societies properly, not to dumb us down to just follow everybody else, because that's part of our limbic system. Yeah, when we talk about the virtual fight club, we're going to talk about the 3 brains that every animal has. There's the reptilian brain, the mammal brain, and your human brain. That's the logical one. The mammal brain is the one that keeps you in your society, like gazelles, you know, like safety in numbers, that kind of impulse that we are driven to not go against what the society says, because once you get out of, if they throw you out of society, you're back in the jungle and nobody wants to be there. So that's why the neos, it's very hard to be neo, because you have got to say, you've got to like say this limbic impulse, so these impulses are not actually working for me. I do want to be part of a group, but I don't want my group to be so stupid that they're actually going to persecute me for telling them the truth. But my group is going to do that because I'm telling them something that's very different from what they are telling themselves. I can prove that what I'm saying is better for them based on the metrics that I can show them, but they don't even want to hear it. So because of, they don't understand, this brain is not as sophisticated as this one. So you need to listen to me using this one and then program your own limbic system. Okay, I see. Democracy, where we think about what we're doing, where we are measuring the outcomes and then acting logically. That's a much better way for us to survive. We can do that. Like, why don't we just do it? Why do we have to do what we've always been doing? Just because people didn't want to change. That's all. But we are the most adaptable species. Evolution is survival of the fittest. Not fit as in physically exercising fit, you know this, Lyndon, but just can you fit? Can you adapt into whatever that situation is? That you may need to be able to adapt to a new virus, for example. It's not about going to the gym. It's the opposite of that. And so we can do that instead of just going to the gym like animals might do, like we tell ourselves to do. Wait, no. There's this danger. We got to adapt now so that we don't go kill ourselves. This is what we're doing. We can't just, it's always happened like that. So do you understand, ancient Lyndon, how important it is?
Yeah, well, survival of the fittest, yeah. It's usually associated to physical stuff rather than mental stuff outside, although mental stuff plays a role in there as well. But I mean, if you develop the ability to do telekinesis, it's obviously a better physical trait compared to those who can't, and therefore the survivability will be increased.
Well, think about what I did, the limbic system, the mammal brain, right? So we are programmed to believe in safety in numbers, just follow the crowd, right? This is, it's not, it is natural in a way, but it also comes from this outdated sort of model of thinking, right? You've got to analyze your own impulses and then decide, okay, which one is actually going to be the best one for me? And you can only, like, once you know there are these 3 impulses in you, the reptile just wants to fight. The animal just wants to be in like a crew to solve that problem, or to lower the risk of having to fight, for example. You want to be safe in that crew, but that has downsides, right? What if your crew is the wrong crew, or they're just not using this anymore. They're just literally like animals, just following whatever. Nah, nigga.
Yeah.
Like where does this, because we have this mental thing now, from the limbic system, we are improved in our chances of survival, right? So like survival of the fittest, like it's very much mental. I think it's more mental than physical, actually. I mean, the physical examples are easy to explain. So like,
well, having a clever brain is also a physical thing, technically, because the brain is an actual physical thing that you can hold in your hand.
Right.
So,
but
so becoming more intelligent is also, yeah.
But I think
indirectly physical, but yeah.
I think we've been conditioned to think that the word fitness must fit into some sort of physical thing, but it's not really.
Yeah, it's not.
Fitness just means you are able to. So like I'm fit to write words on a page, you know, so in that sense I have some fitness there, but there's other ways that I might be fit as well. So
I mean, the reason why we are the fittest is not because of our physical abilities. It is purely because of our mental abilities, right? That is it.
Yeah.
That is why we're the best survivors. It's not got anything to do with our physical traits. I mean, the opposable thumbs, that's one thing, but it's mostly...
They help.
Yeah. The dolphins. they above the dolphins and the octopuses.
Yeah, it's just those dolphins, they're going to leave one day, and then we'll know.
They'll team up with the octopuses, and then with the 8 arms, damn, and no skeleton.
Yeah. Those things are aliens.
Just to counter your idea of thinking there, Dave, you're saying that the reason why we're at the top of the food chain is because of our mental ability in terms of thinking. Right?
Our ability to reason, I think, plays a big role there.
But now what we're busy questioning now is that our thinking is not actually that great because we have capitalism.
So I wouldn't say that means our thinking.
So humans are actually quite stupid as well.
So
they're just easily manipulated.
No man.
Someone with charisma can take over your mind.
No, it's not. Like, if you don't know, like, the highest theories of science or something, that doesn't make you stupid. It just means that you aren't educated, right? You don't have enough knowledge to process things properly. And that's the thing. Like, the more knowledge you have, the better your logic works. That's why your goal in life, which I'm going to be talking about later in my future religion, is to attain knowledge, so that you can be a better logic processor. And then therefore create better solutions for more vexing problems.
So you want to facilitate logical evolution, basically.
Well, part of us, what makes, so we must know what kind of animal we are. If we are a big muscular animal, we need to input a lot of protein, but that's not what we are. We are an intelligent animal, so we need to put in a lot of knowledge. Right, and then we need to work that out. We can't treat humans like they are some other kind of animal that we know that is not like us. We've got to think about what is us, and then look at all the previous examples in history. Which ones were better? Which individuals were better? Which societies were better? And why? What particular parts of those things made them better? Because you have to be able to also know that there is a right and a wrong. So you have to be a critical, independent thinker to do this.
I think when we dropped off, that's sort of, if I remember, Lyndon, sorry, but Dave, when you dropped off, we sort of were saying it's good that we know exactly what it is that is wrong and what is right. I mean, but we still have appendices, although people think it's a vestigial piece of our bodies, but it's good to know what the purpose is and what made it good and all that type of thing, and how you propose to revolutionize things.
I also think I think we've discussed a lot in this session, this episode, whatever we can call it. And I think those things we're probably gonna have to leave it for round 2. So I know the next thing that you want to touch on, Dave, is the 5 stuff about the current matrix or the current society.
Yep.
And you want to
ask you. So we've already mentioned 3 of the matrices. We've actually touched on those topics. Can you remember which 3 worlds of rules we've made up that we've talked about? There are actually 5. Can you?
No, you spoke about economics.
Good.
Touched on religion.
Religion. Wow.
And government.
Government.
Does government not fall under economics now?
No. So government rule.
Okay.
No. So
Legal.
So legal. Exactly. The legal matrix. And the last one, the one that grips our families and our friends, tells them how to be every day. Every time you see another individual on the street, something tells you what you're supposed to do to that person. What is that rule?
Use his laptop. So that's your societal, your community, or your societal
culture
stage, right?
Culture. Yeah. So
culture.
Yeah. Law, economics, government, culture, and religion. Yeah. Those are the 5 rules that we make up out of nothing for purposes like an app. But then we'll talk about how those apps should be working.
Corrupted.
Yeah, how they have been corrupted and what a better version could look like and should look like. All right.
Okay, so next time around we're gonna elaborate on those 5 things, and we're gonna speak about what we think is wrong with it and what we propose should be changed. That's what's gonna happen. Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Cheers, man. All right.
In the next episode.
So, yeah.
I'm out of here.
Cheers, Lyndon.
All right.
Thanks, bud.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, cool, guys. See you.
Thanks, man.
Sure.
Bye-bye.